Hello and welcome back to the channel, where we break down the biggest financial updates impacting everyday Americans, especially seniors, retirees, and those living on fixed incomes. If you're watching this, it likely means that Social Security is part of your monthly income, or it will be in the near future. And today, we have some significant news. The final Social Security pay increase for this year is officially going out today. This isn't just another routine deposit. It's the culmination of a yearly process that affects over 70 million Americans. And in this video, we're going to unpack exactly what this payment means, how much you might be receiving, who qualifies for it, and what it signals for the future of the Social Security program as a whole. Now, Social Security recipients are used to receiving their payments on a regular schedule, like clockwork. But what many people don't always realize is that not everyone gets paid on the same day. Payments are staggered throughout the month based on your date of birth. And because of this structure, the full rollout of the Annual Cost of Living Adjustment, or COLA, can take time to reach every recipient. For many people, that adjustment has already shown up in previous checks. But for others, particularly those with birth dates later in the month, today's payment is the first time the full COLA increase has truly kicked in. So let's start by breaking down what this increase actually is. For 2025, the Social Security Administration announced a 3.2% cost of living adjustment. That means monthly benefits were increased by that percentage to help recipients keep pace with inflation. It's a smaller bump than we saw in 2023, which had an eye-popping 8.7% increase following record-high inflation. But it's still a meaningful change, especially when you consider that Social Security payments are often the primary or even sole source of income for millions of Americans. But here's the nuance. The COLA technically went into effect starting in January 2025, but because of the way the Social Security Administration schedules its disbursements, some recipients are only just now getting the full benefit of that increase. Specifically, if your birthday falls between the 21st and 31st of any month, and you began receiving Social Security benefits after May 1997, then today, April 24th, is your payday. This payment represents the final rollout of the increased benefit amount, meaning that from this point forward, everyone across the system will be receiving the updated monthly benefit that reflects the 3.2% COLA. So what does this mean in terms of actual dollars? Well, before the COLA, the average Social Security retirement benefit was around $1,848 per month. With the 3.2% adjustment, the average benefit has risen to approximately $1,907, representing an increase of about $59 a month. That might not sound life-changing, but when you add it up over a year, it totals more than $700. Enough to cover utilities, prescriptions, groceries, or other essentials that have all seen price hikes in recent years. For those receiving maximum benefits, typically higher earners who waited until full retirement age to claim, the new maximum monthly benefit has jumped to $4,873, up from around $4,555 last year. Today's check isn't a bonus or a one-time boost, it's the new baseline. From here on out, this updated amount becomes your regular Social Security payment until a new COLA is announced for next year. So for many seniors, today's deposit doesn't just represent a single event. It marks a shift in their ongoing monthly income, hopefully, one that provides at least a little more breathing room in the face of rising costs. Now let's talk about why this matters on a broader scale. Social Security is one of the most important safety net programs in the United States. It provides financial support to retirees, people with disabilities, and survivors of deceased workers. But its value lies not just in the money it pays out, but in how well it can keep up with the cost of living. And lately, that's been a point of contention. While a 3.2% increase is certainly better than nothing, many recipients are finding that it still falls short of their real-world expenses. Food prices continue to climb. Medical costs remain unpredictable and burdensome. Rent and utility rates have gone up. For a person living on a fixed income, even a few extra dollars in monthly expenses can make the difference between stability and hardship. The sad truth is, for many seniors, the COLA increase is already eaten up by inflation the moment it hits their account. This brings us to a larger debate that's been gaining steam in Washington, D.C., how the COLA is calculated. Currently, it's based on the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers, known as the CPIW. But many advocates argue this doesn't reflect the spending patterns of older Americans, who typically spend more on healthcare, medications, and housing, all categories where prices have risen faster than average. There's a growing push for Congress to switch to the CPIE, the Consumer Price Index for the elderly, which better accounts for the cost seniors actually face. If adopted, this could result in larger COLA increases in the future, ensuring that benefits stay more in line with the actual cost of living for retirees. But that kind of change would require legislative action, and so far, it remains tied up in debates, budget battles, and long-term Social Security reform proposals. Speaking of which, let's take a moment to discuss the elephant in the room, the future of the Social Security program itself. You've probably heard the headlines warning that the Social Security Trust Fund could be depleted within the next decade, possibly by 2033 or 2034, unless significant changes are made. While this doesn't mean Social Security would disappear entirely, it does mean that if no action is taken, future beneficiaries could see their payments cut by as much as 20% across the board. That's why policymakers are proposing a range of solutions, some more popular than others. These include raising the retirement age, increasing the payroll tax rate, lifting the cap on taxable earnings, and adjusting benefits for higher earners. On the other side of the aisle, some lawmakers are pushing for benefit expansions, arguing that Social Security should provide a stronger foundation, not a weaker one, for the next generation of retirees. As we wait to see how these debates unfold, what does this mean for you right now today? First and foremost, if you're expecting a payment today, log into your Social Security account and confirm that the new amount reflects the full COLA adjustment. Don't just assume it's correct. Errors do happen. If you're unsure how much you should be receiving, the SSA provides calculators and statements online that can help clarify your benefit structure. Second, it's a good idea to reassess your monthly budget. Even a small increase can help create a buffer, whether that's to cover rising utility bills, put away in an emergency fund, or help you afford a new prescription. And while inflation continues to be a moving target, every bit of financial breathing room counts. Third, be aware of scammers. Unfortunately, every time Social Security payments make headlines, fraudsters come out of the woodwork. Remember, the Social Security Administration will never call you out of the blue, ask for your bank details over the phone, or threaten you with legal action. If you receive a suspicious message, report it immediately through the SS's official fraud hotline or website. Finally, stay informed. We're expecting to hear news about the next COLA announcement in October of this year, based on inflation data from July, August, and September. If inflation trends continue as they are, the 2026 COLA could be even smaller than this year's, or possibly larger, depending on summer price shifts. Either way, you'll want to know as soon as the numbers are in, so you can start planning accordingly. Let's take a moment to hear from real people who are already feeling the effects of this year's COLA increase. One viewer, Sarah from Michigan, shared that her updated Social Security payment helped her finally catch up on her winter heating bill, something she'd been struggling with since January. Another viewer, Carl in Arizona, told us that his new monthly amount covered the copay for a medication he'd previously had to skip some months. These may not seem like major wins, but for people living on a razor-thin financial edge, these increases are critical. And yet, not all stories are positive. We've heard from others who say their rent went up by $100, their food costs increased by $80, and their COLA increase just doesn't come close to closing the gap. One woman emailed us saying, "This year's increase got swallowed up before it even arrived. I'm still living paycheck to paycheck, just like before." That's why this conversation matters so much. Social Security isn't just a line item in the federal budget. It's a lifeline for veterans, widows, people with disabilities, and retired workers who gave decades to this country and deserve to live with dignity. Today's pay increase is a step forward, but it's also a reminder of the larger fight still ahead, to strengthen and protect Social Security for future generations. As we wrap up, Let's take a moment to reflect on what today represents. April 24th, 2025 is more than just another payday. It marks the final rollout of this year's benefit increase, the moment when all recipients are now operating under the updated COLA adjustment. It's a time to check your payments, reassess your finances, and start preparing for what comes next. And as always, we'll be right here to guide you through it all, one update at a time. Thanks so much for tuning in today. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an important Social Security update. And leave a comment below, let us know if your new payment has arrived, how it's impacting your budget, and what you're hoping to see from future COLAs. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other, and stay informed, because knowledge is power.